And Republic TV has access to a copy of the bill that will be brought in by the government today with regards to the quota policy, the copy of which is with Republic TV. Essentially, the government is seeking to amend Article 15 and 16 of the Constitution to ensure that the reservation policy, which has been decided by the Union Cabinet yesterday, can be brought about. It will be tabled in the Lok Sabha today, and there will be a detailed discussion, after which tomorrow in Rajya Sabha as well, the Constitution Amendment Bill will be taken up. This bill copy with Republic TV. Shortly, we're expecting that discussion also to kick off in Parliament. We'll be joined by Aishwarya Kapoor as well as Abhishek for the latest updates on the story. And let's go across to our executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, on this. Abhishek, the bill copy with us, if you could give us some of the highlights really of what's expected in Parliament. We understand that the government is seeking an amendment to Article 15 and Article 16 of the Constitution.
Well, yes, Akshita, 2-3 things coming out from the bill, a copy of which we have. We cannot show it on air because it's still a property of the House and is yet to be tabled in the Lok Sabha. A, it introduces a new category of economically weaker sections that should be entitled for reservations. B, to that objective, it introduces two amendments, one in Article 15 by way of insertion of column 6 and another by way of inserting a column 6 in Article 16. Basically, these amendments introduce the economically weaker section category as a category which is now should be eligible for reservations after constitutional amendment in this category. Now, if I could read from the objects and reasons of the bill, Akshita, it says that in the present, economically weaker sections of society fail to compete with those that are financially sound in education and in getting jobs. The reservations provided under Article 14 of Article 15.4, 15.5 and 16.4 are available to them only if they fulfill the ACBC, that is socially and educationally backward criteria. So the government says that under directive principles of state policy, under Article 46, the government is enjoined to uplift poor and the weak of society, and that is why, balancing between fundamental rights and directive principles, the government is opting to bring this amendment, constitutional amendment, to amend Article 15.4 and 16.4, bringing in clauses 6 in each of the articles, and introducing new category of economically weaker sections. And finally, Akshita, it caps reservations for the economically weaker sections at 10%. So these are important points that are there in the Constitution Amendment Bill that would be introduced by the Modi government in the Lok Sabha in a while from now.
Right, so Abhishek, breaking down some of the highlights of what's really been mentioned in the bill that will be brought about in the Lok Sabha. And Abhishek, while you're giving us some of those highlights, it elaborates, of course, what are the amendments required to the Constitution for this quota policy. Let me also bring in Aishwarya, who access to this bill copy for Republic. Aishwarya, you know, we've just broken down some of the highlights that have come to light from this particular bill copy, but give us a sense of when really this is going to be discussed in the Lok Sabha. What are the political parties' stance? Because BSP has come out and said that, look, we back it. You've now got the JDS also coming out and saying that, yes, we do back this quota policy of the government. So if you could give us a sense of where the political parties really stand right now.
Well, at this point of time, in front of the cameras, you can see the Congress and then the other opposition parties opposing it, calling it a political sob. But then when it comes down on the floor of the House, you are going to see all of these political parties, including that of the Indian National Congress, supporting it. Because at some point or the other, all of these opposition parties, and that is including that of the Congress, have promised this, have promised the same thing. The number may have been different for the quota, but they have all promised in principle the same SOP. The same thing. So they are only opposing for the sake of opposition. They are questioning the timing. But at the end of the day, once again, I'm reiterating that every political party, right from the Congress party to the Samajwadi party and then so on and so forth, every political party had promised at some point or the other in the last 4 to 5 years that they are going to do it. And when the BJP has delivered, they are taken aback that how has BJP been able to do it? And the seriousness of the government is very clear now when they've extended one day of Rajya Sabha, because today the bill is going to be tabled by the concerned minister, Thawarchand Gehlot, today in the lower house, and then tomorrow. Because today was the last working day for both the houses. The upper house has been extended for tomorrow, that is the 9th of January, and that is when the government plans to table the bill tomorrow in the upper house. So the government is very serious, but all of these political parties now are in a catch-22 situation. They cannot be seen basically opposing them, but you are seeing Congress, the SP, the BSP, all of them calling it a political gimmick. You've seen Mayawati coming out and giving an elaborate soundbite today, earlier in the day, to ANI, the VIA agency, and then calling it that the decision has been only taken in because BJP was losing ground. When she herself, it was in the manifesto of the BSP and then the other regional parties that they also wanted. The number was not clear. But when BJP has been able to give 10% over and above the prevailing 50%, all of the other political parties are taken aback, because this is single-handedly above the caste system, above the religion system, and this is something which is really creating a sense of fear within the opposition parties, because you cannot deny 6 weeks down the lane, 2019 general elections are all set to be announced, and this, they feel, will have a replicating impact, a reverberating impact on the vote bank politics as well. So they are trying to oppose it for the sake of it, when they all knew that they all, at some point or the other, wanted it.
And Abhishek, you know, as we speak, as Aishwarya also pointed out, the likes of Mayawati and now, of course, Devagowda also tweeting, saying that we do support this move. How really will this play out in Parliament? Because you've got these kind of regional players coming out to say very clearly that we back this government. Forget the intent, forget the motive, we back this move. The Congress, however, says this is a political gimmick, says this is a jumla and whatnot. Will the Congress also be forced now to take a stand for the quota policy, considering the optics itself?
एक महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय है। विधेयक को संसद में ला रहे हैं। डिटेल आ जाने के बाद डिटेल चर्चा करेंगे, लेकिन ये निर्णय से बहुत लोगों को खुशी हुई है और हम उनका स्वागत करते हैं। गई काले मोडी रात्रे भाजपा पूर्व धारासभ्य जयंतीभाई भानुशाळीनी ट्रेन में
All right, we just cut across to that live reaction that's coming in from Vijay Rupani, where he says that this is a welcome move by the government. But Abhishek, the question I was putting forth to you is that for the sake of optics alone, can we expect the opposition to really come together to back the government completely? Because the Congress at this point is continuing to maintain political gimmick, jumla and whatnot.
Well, Akshita, one, the opposition was caught really unawares and off guard with this move by the government on the penalty bid day of the winter session of Parliament. And B, that it's not just about optics. In fact, as Aishwarya was mentioning, that Congress party has had it in its manifestos that they would want to bring some kind of arrangement so that economically weaker sections in the upper caste can get some opportunity, equal opportunity in government jobs and educational institution of higher education. So the government is also, I beg your pardon, the opposition is also in a catch-22 situation, and that is why the government has a sense that the opposition might make speeches and noises criticizing the motives of the government, but when it comes to actual voting in the parliament, both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, at least the principal opposition party, Congress, would be hard-pressed not to be seen to be opposing this bill. And that is why the government believes that today and tomorrow, the government would succeed in getting this bill passed both from the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and subsequently, it's a constitution amendment bill, so it has to be passed by at least more than half of the states. The BJP presently, along with NDA...
So the government, Abhishek, the government believes that it is going to be smooth sailing in a sense, because they believe that having stumped the opposition, these leaders, these parties will come together to back this particular constitution amendment bill. Aishwarya, Abhishek, thanks for joining us. We're tracking the story closely, but it's time for us to slip into a short break. We'll be right back with the top headlines.